Right, moving on, Azerbaijan's capital, Baku, will host the 29th United Nations Climate Change Conference in November. India and much of the global south hopes to make its voice heard at the annual event. But as Jayant Das reports from New Delhi, the question is, will COP29 agree to address the issue of climate finance?
The Conference of Parties 29 or COP29 is all set to be held in Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, from November 11 this year. Last year, COP28, which was held in the United Arab Emirates, went down as the most attended COP till date. It attracted around 85,000 participants from around the world, with more than 150 heads of state and government. The COP28 was successful in two major outcomes. First was the decision on the outcome of the first ever global stocktake of the Paris Agreement on climate action. It would regularly assess global actions and shortcomings on the course of climate action by 2030. The next crucial outcome of COP28 was the agreement on the operationalization of the Loss and Damage Fund, which would deal with negative effects of climate change despite mitigation efforts. Besides taking on the mantle of the COP28 and its achievements last year, COP29 will have some important issues to resolve. Among these, first and foremost is to tackle the issue of New Collective Quantified Goal. The New Collective Quantified Goal, or the NCQG, is a key element of the Paris Agreement, which was adopted in 2015 to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change. Specifically, the NCQG aims to set a new financial target for supporting developing countries in their climate actions post-2025. The developed countries, though having achieved the goal as per the current NCQG of providing $100 billion of assistance to developing nations in climate action every year by 2020, were late by 2 years in meeting this goal. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development said in a report that the developed countries provided $115.9 billion in climate finance in 2022, meeting the goal for the first time. The current NCQG limit of $100 billion assistance per year to developing countries is, however, far outdated and not in line with current reality. Climate experts from various fields, including government officials, are calling for a collective push from the global south on an ambitious new climate finance goal ahead of the COP29 scheduled to be held in Baku. According to a report by the independent high-level expert group on climate finance, co-chaired by the renowned British economist Nicholas Stern, annual investments need to increase by $2.4 trillion annually for developing countries, excluding China, by 2030. This is in line with the Indian stance on the role of developed countries in climate finance. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his address at COP28 presidency session on transforming climate finance, reaffirmed the need of global funding on climate action to be in trillions of dollars by 2030. He also shed light on the responsibility that the developed countries carry in aiding developing nations to combat climate change.
ग्लोबल साउथ के देशों की अपेक्षा है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज का मुकाबला करने के लिए विकसित देश उनकी अधिक से अधिक मदद करें। ये स्वाभाविक भी है और न्यायोचित भी है। फ्रेंड्स, G20 में इसे लेकर सहमति बनी है कि क्लाइमेट एक्शन के लिए 2030 तक कई ट्रिलियन डॉलर क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस की आवश्यकता है।
Furthermore, India made its 5-page submission before the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in February 2024 on the new collective quantified goal for climate finance. In its report, it underlined the need for an assistance of at least $1 trillion per year to developing countries in climate action 2025 onwards. Besides giving voice to the real plight of the global south in the face of climate change, India has also been actively involved in meeting its proposed climate action goals under the Paris Agreement. India recorded the two goals of reducing the amount of greenhouse gas emitted per unit increase in gross domestic product by 33% and achieving 43.81% of total cumulative electric power installed capacity in 2023, way before the agreed deadline of 2030. On the other hand, experts have warned that the delay of the developed countries on the $100 billion goal raises concerns on the new commitments on the way. The new finance goal, to be set from the floor of $100 billion for the post-25 period, may not be ambitious enough to help developing countries transition to a low-carbon future. While concerns remain about the interventions that the developed nations may put in reaching a desired outcome for finance goals in the COP29, only time will tell what follows. Meanwhile, we need to flip the questions regarding the climate change and global south and ponder upon it. Can the global north do more?